I got it, Bill. I got it. Well, I have a subject today we talk about, and I think it's something on our mind because we all need it. It's called redemption. In Leviticus 25. We'll read about the beginning of the plan of redemption. Yahweh spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When ye come into the land which I give you, and you shall keep a Sabbath to Yahweh. 6 years shall you sow your field, and 6 years shall you prune your vineyard, and gather the fruits of it. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath to Yahweh. You shall neither sow your field, nor you prune your vineyard. That which grows of itself of your harvest you shall not reap, and the grapes of your undressed vine you shall not gather. It shall be a year of solemn rest for the land." And you think about that. Why does the land need to rest? Well, recently, I would say in the past 100 years, we learned about crop rotation. The land rests. It redeems itself. All the stuff out there, it's a pest and all, eats our crops and all. If you're not planting or anything, there's not a lot there. It helps control the pest. It helps do a lot of things. Helps the land rest. Allows just a little allows things that normally are bred out. Allows some of those things to grow that's in the area. Kind of keeps the gene pool diverse. It doesn't say that in here, but I could think of a number of reasons why this, this actually works. Yahweh's plan works. You shall neither gather, it shall be a year of solemn rest for the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be food for you, and your servant, and your maid, and for your hired servant, and for your stranger who sojourns among you, and for your cattle, and for the beasts that are in your land shall all the increase be for food. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years to you, 7 times 7 years, and there shall be unto you the days of 7 Sabbaths of years, even 49 years. And then you shall send abroad the loud trumpet on the 10th day of the 7th month, in the day of atonement. You shall send abroad the trumpet through all your land. And you shall hallow the 50th year, and shall proclaim liberty throughout the land to all the inhabitants of it. It shall be a jubilee, and you shall return every man to his possession, and you shall return every man to his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be to you, and you shall not sow, neither reap that which grows of its own, nor gather the grapes of the unpruned, undressed vine. For it is a jubilee, it shall be set apart to you, and you shall eat the increase of it out of the field. In this year of jubilee you shall return every man to his possession. And if you sell anything to your neighbor, or buy anything of your neighbor's hand, you shall not wrong one another. According to the number of years after the Jubilee you shall buy of your neighbor, and according to the number of years the crops he shall sell to you. According to the multitude of years you shall increase the price of it, and according to the fewness of the years you shall diminish the price of it. For the number of the crops does he sell to you. And you shall not wrong one another, but you shall fear Yahweh, you shall fear your Elohim, for I am Yahweh your Elohim. We look today There are people out there, a lot of people who don't even have a home for whatever reason. You have some people out there who's going to have billions and billions of dollars. And all jet airplanes, yachts, I mean, they just gather the wealth. People in high places, governments, they gather in the wealth of the people. A jubilee, a Sabbath year, is meant to keep things a little more equal. Things that people have done, you know, like you said, it goes back to the people who, to whom it belongs. And we don't have strife, don't have envy under Yahweh's law. As a matter of fact, it's forbidden. But we'll continue. Therefore, you shall do my statutes and keep my ordinance and do them, and you shall dwell in the land safely, and the land shall yield its fruit, and you shall eat your fill, and shall dwell in it safely. And you shall say, what shall we eat the 7th year? Behold, we shall not sow nor gather our increase. Then I will command my blessing on you in the 6 years, and it will bring forth fruit for the 3 years. And you shall sow the 8th year, and eat of the fruits, the old store, until the 9th year, until its fruits come in, and you shall eat of the old store. And the land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine. For you are strangers and sojourners with me. And in all the land of your possessions you shall grant a redemption for the land. If your brother has become poor, and sell some of his possession, then shall his kinsman that is next to him come, and shall redeem that which his brother has sold. And if a man has no one to redeem it, and he has grown rich and has found sufficient to redeem it, then let him reckon the years of the sale of it, and restore the excess to the man to whom he sold it, and he shall return to his possession. But if he is not able to get it back for himself, then that which he has sold shall remain in the hands of him that bought it until the year of Jubilee. And in the year of Jubilee it shall go out and shall return to his possession. And if a man sells a dwelling house in a walled city, he may redeem it within the whole year after it is sold. For a full year shall he have the right of redemption. And if it's not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be made sure in perpetuity to him that bought it, throughout his generations. It shall not go out in the Jubilee. But the houses of the villages which have no wall about them shall be reckoned with the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. Nevertheless, the cities of the Levites, the houses of the cities and their possessions, may the Levites redeem at any time. And if one of the Levites redeems, then the house that was sold in the city in his possession shall go out in the Jubilee, for the houses of the city of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. But the field the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is theirs perpetual possession. And if your brother has grown poor, and his hand fails with you, and you shall uphold him as a stranger, and the sojourner shall he live with you. Take no interest of him, or increase, but fear your Elohim, that your brother may live with you. You shall not give him your money on interest, nor give him your food for increase. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your Elohim. And if your brother has grown poor with you, and sells himself to you, you shall not make him serve as a bondservant. As a hired servant and as a sojourner shall he be with you. He shall serve with you to the year of Jubilee. Then shall he go out from you, he and his children with him, and shall return to his own family, and to the possession of his father shall he return. For they are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. You shall not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear your Elohim. And as for your bondmen, and for your bondsmaid, whom you shall have of the nations that are round about you, then shall you buy bondsmen and bondsmaid. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that sojourn among you, of them shall you buy, and of their families that are with you, which they have begotten in your land, they shall be your possession. And you shall make them an inheritance for your children after you to hold for possession, of whom shall you take your bondman forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule, one over another with rigor. And if a stranger or sojourner with you has grown rich, and your brother has grown poor beside him, sells himself to the stranger or sojourner with you, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after he is sold, he may be redeemed. One of his brethren may redeem him, or his uncle, or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is next of kin to him of his family may redeem him, or if he has grown rich, he may redeem himself. And he shall reckon with him that bought him from the year that he sold himself to him to the year of Jubilee. And the price of his sale shall be according to the number of years, according to the time of a hired servant shall he be with him. And if there are still many years, according to them, he shall give back to him the price of his redemption, out of the money that he was bought for. And if there remains but few years to the year of Jubilee, then he shall reckon with him according to his years. He shall give back the price of his redemption. As a servant hired, year by year he shall be with him. He shall not rule with rigor over him in your sight. And if he is not redeemed by these means, then he shall go out in the year of Jubilee, he and his children with him. For to me the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Now go to Leviticus 26. You shall make no idols, neither shall you rear up a graven image on a pillar, neither shall you place figures Neither shall you place stones in your land to bow down to them, for I am Yahweh your Elohim. You shall keep my Sabbath and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh. And you shall walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, and then I will give you rain in their season, and the land shall yield its increase. And the trees of the land shall yield their fruit, and your threshing floor shall reach to the vintage, and your vintage shall reach to the sowing time, and you shall eat your bread to the full, and shall dwell in your land safely. And I will give you peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will cause evil beasts to seize out your land, neither shall there be sword go through your land. And you shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 10,000, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. And I will have respect to you, and shall make you fruitful, multiply you, and will establish my covenant with you. And you shall eat the old store long kept, and you shall bring forth the old because of the new. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that ye shall not be their bondsmen. I have broken the bars of your yoke, and made you upright. I noticed one thing, we talk about redemption. In Yahweh's government, there's redemption. In the government of the land, not so much. You make one mistake, you get caught. That's it for the rest of your life. Doesn't matter how good you are. You're through, pretty much. And one thing we notice now, we have a problem. If you go to any of our prisons or any neighborhoods where there's a lot of disenfranchised out there, you have the enemy religion. What are they doing? They are recruiting those people. They're looking for the disaffected. They're looking for the disenfranchised. They're looking for the outcast. And they're finding them. We're creating by not following the law of Yahweh, we're creating our own enemy right in the midst of our own lands. Now we learn a little bit more about redemption, and the book of Ruth is a real good one to describe redemption. And I'm trying to find it. Turn to the Ruth chapter 3. And Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, My daughter, shall I not seek for you that it may be well with you? And now is not Boaz our kinsman with whose maidens you see? Behold, he is winnowing barley tonight in the threshing floor. Wash yourself therefore, and anoint yourself, and put your raiment upon you, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he is done eating and drinking. And it shall be, when he lies down, you shall mark the place where he lies, and you shall go in and uncover his feet and lay down, and he will tell you what you shall do. And she said to her, All you say I will do. And she went down to the threshing floor and did according to all her mother-in-law told her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went down, lie down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came softly, uncovered his feet, and laid herself down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid, and he turned to himself, and behold, a woman laid at his feet. And he said, Who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your handmaid. Therefore spread your skirt out, cover your handmaid, for you are a near kinsman. And he said, Blessed are you of Yahweh, my daughter. You have showed more kindness in the latter than at the beginning, insomuch as you did not follow young men, whether poor or rich. Now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to you all you say, for all the city of my people know you are a worthy woman. And now it is true that I am a nearest kinsman. However, there is a kinsman nearer than I. Stay tonight, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform to you the part of a kinsman, well, let him go do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of the kinsman to you, then I will do the part of the kinsman to you. As Yahweh lives, lie down until the morning. And she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before anyone could recognize another. For he said, Do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. And he said, Bring the mantle that is on you, and hold it. And she held it. And he measured 6 measures of barley, and laid it on her, and he went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, Who are you, my daughter? And she told him all that the man had done to her. And she said, These 6 measures of barley he gave to you, for he said, Go not empty unto your mother-in-law. And she said, Sit still, my daughter, until you know how the matter will fall, for the man will not rest until he has finished this thing today. Ruth is one of the biggest chapters about redemption. And because of that, just that one redemption managed to graft the seed of Moab back into the line. If we go to 2 Samuel, Second Samuel 7, I'll get there in just a moment. I go to 2 Samuel 23. I'll start in 22. And I will be yet more vile than this. And wait a minute, that's not right. 2 Samuel 7:23. And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel, whom Elohim went to redeem to himself for a people, and to make for himself a nation, and to all the great things for you, and terrible things for your land before your people, wherein you redeem to yourself out of Egypt. From the nations and their Elohim, you have established to yourself your people Israel to be a people to you forever, and you, Yahweh, because they're Elohim. Now, O Yahweh Elohim, the word that he has spoken concerning your servant and concerning your house, confirm it forever, and do as you have spoken, and let your name be magnified forever, saying, Yahweh host, Elohim of Israel, to the house of your servant David shall be established before you. For you, Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, have revealed to your servants, saying, I will build you a house. Therefore your servant found in his heart to pray this prayer to you. Now, O sovereign Yahweh, you are Elohim, and your words are true, and you have promised this good thing to your servant. Yahweh is going to redeem Israel. Actually, he's going to redeem the whole world, and now, therefore, let it please you to bless this house of your servant, that it may continue forever before you. O sovereign Yahweh has spoken it, and with your blessing, let this house of your servant be blessed forever. And if we go to 1 Chronicles 17 and 21, and what nation in the earth is like your people, Israel, whom Elohim went to redeem to himself for a people, to make you a name by his great and terrible things, and driving out the nations from before your people, whom you redeemed out of Egypt. For your people Israel, you made your own people forever, and you, Yahweh, became their Elohim. And now, O Yahweh, let the word you have spoken concerning your servant and concerning his house be established forever. And do as you have spoken, and let your name be established, and magnify forever, saying, Yahweh of hosts is the Elohim of Israel, even as Elohim to Israel, and to the house of David your servant is established before you. For you, Yahweh, have revealed unto your servant that you will build him a house. Therefore has your servant found in his heart to pray before you. And now, Yahweh, you are Elohim, and you have promised this good thing to your servant. And now it has pleased you to bless the house of your servant, that it may continue forever before you. For you, O Yahweh, have blessed, and is blessed forever. Redemption is a wonderful thing. If we go to Isaiah 44, I'll find it real quick here. Isaiah 44 and 22. I have blotted out, wait a minute. I have blotted out as a thick cloud your transgressions, and as a cloud your sins. Return to me, for I have redeemed to you. Sing, O you heavens, for Yahweh has done it. Shout, you lower parts of the earth, break forth into singing, you mountains. O forest and your and every tree, for Yahweh has redeemed you, Jacob, and will glorify himself in Israel. This is something he's wanting to do. He's redeemed us to magnify his name and to show the world his glory. In this means, says Yahweh, your Redeemer, and he that stretches forth the heavens alone and spreads abroad the earth. Alone and spreads forth the earth. Who is with me? Then the trustfulness of the signs of the liars, and makes diviners mad, and turns wise men backward, and makes the knowledge foolish. Thanks. And go to 52:9. Oh, break forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem, for Yahweh has comforted his people, and he has redeemed Jerusalem. Yahweh has made bare for his holy arm in the eyes of the nations, and all the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our Elohim. Depart, depart, go you out from there. Touch no unclean thing. Go out in the middle of go out in the from there, touch no unclean thing, go out in the middle of her, cleanse yourself, you that bear the vessels of Yahweh, for you shall not go out in haste, neither shall you go by flight, for Yahweh will go before you, and the Elohim of Israel will be your rear guard. Behold, my servant shall deal wisely. He shall be exalted and lifted up, and shall be very high. Like as many that were astonished at you, this visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of man. So shall you sprinkle many nations. Kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which had not been told to them shall they see, and they that had not heard shall they understand. Yahweh is going to be redeeming not just us, but the entire world. If we go, I'm going to go to Luke 1:6. Luke chapter 1. Chapter 1, we'll start in verse 68. Blessed be Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, for he has visited and worked a redemption for his people. He has raised up the horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spoken by the mouth of his holy prophet, that he shall been from old salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to show mercy towards our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath which he has sworn to Abraham our fathers, to grant to us that we keep delivered out of the hands of your enemies, and shall serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness, therefore, all our days. You, child, shall be called the prophet of the Most High, for you shall go before the face of Yahweh to make ready his way, to give knowledge of salvation to his people in the remission of their sins. Because of this tender mercy of our Elohim, whereby the dayspring from on high shall visit us, to shine upon them that are in darkness and the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. And the child grew and became strong in spirit, and was in the desert until the day of his showing to Israel. Now if we go to Luke 2:38, and coming up at that very hour, she gave thanks to Elohim, and spoke of him to all of them that were looking for the redemption of Jerusalem. And when they had accomplished all things that were according to the laws of Yahweh, they returned to Galilee, to their own city Nazareth. And the child grew and became strong, and filled with wisdom and grace of Elohim. And his parents went every year to Jerusalem at the feast of Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to as the custom of the feast, and they had fulfilled the days that they were, as they were returning. The boy, Yeshua, stayed behind in Jerusalem, and his parents knew it not, but supported him to be in the company. And they went a day's journey, and they sought for him among their kinsfolk and acquaintances. And when they found him not, they returned to Jerusalem seeking for him. And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the middle of the teachers, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answer. And when they saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, Son, why have you thus dealt with us? Behold, your father and I sought you, sorrowing. And he said to them, How is it that you sought me? Did you not know that I must be about my father's business? And they understood not the saying which he spoke to him. And he went down with them. He came to Nazareth and was subject to him. And his mother kept all these sayings in her heart. And Yeshua advanced in wisdom and stature and in favor with Elohim and men. He is growing in the flesh. He is growing and is more and more coming into his role as the Redeemer of the world. And go to Luke 21. I'm almost finished. Go Luke 21 and 28. But when these things began to come pass, look up and lift your heads, because I'll start a little head for context. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth the distress of nations. I mean, right now in Hamburg, all the nations there for their little summit, and right now there's rioting in the street. One wants to go after another. Republican hates Democrat. Democrat hates Republican. Everybody's at the throats. Donald Trump is showing his chutzpah towards Korea, and Korea is showing their chutzpah towards Donald Trump. Syria is getting stirred up like a hornet's nest. So we see the signs out there. I'm not saying that it's going to happen soon, but there is some signs in the heavens. They've talked about the great American eclipse. That's been put out, been talked about. The Revelation signs. Different signs are in the heavens this year. I'm not going to go into a lot of that. It might be a coincidence. But they're saying that these signs right here in verse 25, there shall be signs in the sun, the moon, the stars, upon the earth, distress of nations, and perplexity for the roaring of the sea and the billows, men fainting for fear and for expectation of things which are coming on the world, for the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and with great glory. And when you look, but when these things begin to come to pass, look up, lift your heads, for redemption draws nigh. Hallelujah.